Have you ever met someone who looked perfectly normal? They smiled, they talked politely, maybe even acted friendly. But something deep inside you whispered, something's off. That gut feeling wasn't wrong. Because evil doesn't always wear a monster's face. Sometimes it wears a smile. It hides behind kindness, it laughs with you, it gains your trust, until the moment it strikes. And the scariest part? Evil people don't reveal themselves through big actions at first. They show up through subtle, weird habits, tiny red flags that most of us ignore. But once you learn to notice these signs, you'll never see people the same way again. So in this video, we're going to expose 7 creepy habits that reveal someone's evil nature, things that may seem harmless on the surface, but carry darkness underneath. Before we dive in, if you're someone who values deep truth, hidden psychology, and raw reality, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's dive into the mind of evil itself. 1. They enjoy watching others fail. Have you ever seen that subtle smile on someone's face when you're going through a hard time? That faint curve of their lips that they quickly hide, but you still notice it. That's not empathy. That's pleasure. And it's one of the most disturbing traits of truly evil people. They don't just dislike your success, they feed on your failure. It gives them an emotional high. When something goes wrong in your life, you lose your job, you're heartbroken, you fail an exam, or you hit a low point, they suddenly become extra interested. They act concerned, they ask questions, they offer advice that sounds supportive. But if you look closer, their eyes tell the real story. There's a spark of satisfaction hiding behind the pity. Because in that moment, your pain becomes their power. Evil people have an invisible hunger, not for food, not for money, but for dominance over others. When they see someone struggling, they feel stronger. It's as if your weakness validates their worth. They don't know how to build themselves up, so they tear others down and then smile at the ruins. It's a psychological addiction, the quiet thrill of seeing someone's confidence collapse. They might spread rumors, manipulate situations, or simply wait in the shadows hoping you'll stumble. And when you finally do, they celebrate, not openly, but silently in their twisted little world where other people's misery is their entertainment. You'll notice this especially when you share good news. Evil people don't celebrate your happiness, they endure it. Their smiles stiffen. Their compliments sound hollow. But the moment something goes wrong, they light up. They suddenly have time to talk, to be there, to give fake comfort while secretly enjoying every drop of your disappointment. It's almost demonic how they disguise their joy beneath sympathy. They'll even say things like, "I told you to be careful," or "You should have listened," not to help, but to rub salt into your wounds. They want to remind you that you failed, that you're beneath them, and that your life is now the stage for their satisfaction. The truth is, this kind of evil isn't always loud. It's not violence or open cruelty. It's quiet. It's subtle. It's psychological. It's the friend who never truly claps for you. The coworker who secretly hopes your project collapses. The relative who comforts you when you fall, but never when you rise. These people live in emotional darkness, and your light, your success, threatens them. But your pain? That's their favorite show. Once you recognize this habit, it changes how you see people forever. You'll start noticing the fake sympathies, the forced smiles, the eyes that shine only when you're broken. Evil isn't always obvious. Sometimes, it's sitting right next to you, smiling while you fall apart. So protect your victories, and guard your pain. Because not everyone who says, "I'm happy for you," truly means it, and not everyone who says, "I'm sorry," actually is. 2. They use kindness as a weapon. Some of the most dangerous people you'll ever meet won't come at you with anger, insults, or open hostility. They'll come with kindness. A softness so warm, so comforting, that it feels impossible to doubt. They'll compliment you when you least expect it. They'll help you when no one else does. They'll make you feel seen, valued, understood. But behind that carefully constructed kindness, there's a strategy, not compassion. Their generosity isn't from the heart, it's bait. And once you take it, you're caught. Evil people understand something most others don't. Trust is the ultimate weapon. And the easiest way to earn it is through kindness. They know how to mirror your emotions, how to say exactly what you need to hear, how to appear selfless when they're secretly calculating every move. Their compliments are not about lifting you up, they're about lowering your guard. Their helpfulness isn't about caring for you, it's about binding you to them through guilt and gratitude. They'll do something nice today just to remind you tomorrow, remember what I did for you. It's a subtle form of control disguised as love, empathy, or friendship. At first, it feels genuine. You start to believe you've met someone rare, someone who truly understands you. But slowly, the mask begins to crack. Their kindness turns selective. Their words carry hidden hooks. The same hand that helped you up starts to pull your strings. You'll notice they only care when it benefits them. You'll start to feel guilty for saying no. You'll start to feel obligated to please them because they were so good to you, right? That's how evil people work. They don't force you, they condition you. They use kindness to make you surrender willingly. Then comes the switch. Once they sense they have control, their tone changes. They become colder, sharper, distant. And when you question it, they'll remind you of all the good things they did for you. They'll guilt-trip you into silence. After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me? You begin to realize that every favor, every smile, every word of comfort was just another piece in their manipulation game. You were never the friend, you were the pawn. This is the chilling truth about evil. It doesn't always attack you. Sometimes it hugs you first. It earns your loyalty before it destroys you. That's why false kindness is far more dangerous than open cruelty. Because cruelty warns you to run, but kindness makes you stay. So the next time someone's kindness feels too perfect, too constant, too strategic, pay attention. Real kindness expects nothing in return. Fake kindness always keeps score. Remember, the devil doesn't show up with horns and fire. Sometimes he shows up with a smile, holding the door for you, asking how your day was, and planning exactly when to close it behind you. 3. They never feel guilt, only justification. Have you ever confronted someone for something terrible they did? Maybe they lied, betrayed you, or caused real pain, and instead of remorse, they gave you reasons? That's the moment you realize you're not dealing with a normal person. You're dealing with someone who doesn't feel guilt, they feel justified. Evil people don't lose sleep over what they've done. They twist the story until you look like the one who's overreacting. They'll say things like, "You made me do it," or "I was just protecting myself." And they'll say it with such calm confidence that you start questioning your own memory. That's their power. They don't carry guilt, because in their world, guilt doesn't exist. They've mastered the art of rewriting reality. If they hurt you, they'll claim it was for your own good. If they lie, they'll call it a white lie. If they betray you, they'll call it self-defense. Every action, no matter how cruel, is coated with twisted logic that makes them feel righteous. And because they believe their own lies, they never change. Their mind has built walls around their egos so thick that no truth can penetrate. To them, guilt is a weakness, remorse is unnecessary, and admitting fault means losing control, something their ego will never allow. What's terrifying is how convincing they can be. They'll spin their version of the story so skillfully that outsiders start to believe them. They play the victim, using pity as a shield. Suddenly, the person who hurt you is now the one who suffered, and you, the actual victim, are painted as cruel or unforgiving. It's psychological warfare. They manipulate not just your emotions but your reality. They want you to question yourself so deeply that you end up apologizing for getting hurt. Evil people don't just lie to others, they lie to themselves. They live in a constant state of self-justification. Their conscience isn't dead, it's been silenced, buried under endless excuses. They tell themselves, "Everyone does it," or "They deserved it," until their moral compass is completely destroyed. And because they never feel genuine guilt, they never learn, never heal, and never stop. They walk through life collecting broken hearts and burned bridges, Yet in their story, they're always the misunderstood hero. If you ever meet someone like this, don't expect an apology. Don't expect accountability. They'll twist every truth until you're dizzy. Remember, guilt is what makes us human. It's what drives us to make things right. But when someone feels none, when every wrongdoing comes with a reason instead of regret, you're not dealing with a flawed human being anymore. You're dealing with something much darker, a person who's learned to justify evil and call it good. And that, right there, is the most dangerous kind of evil that exists. 4. They study you quietly. Evil doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it watches in silence. You won't even realize it's happening, because when an evil person studies you, they do it with the patience of a hunter. They don't ask too many questions, they don't show too much curiosity. They simply observe. Every word you say, every reaction you have, every flicker in your expression, it all becomes data in their mind. While you're just living, they're learning. They're mapping your emotions like a scientist dissects a specimen, not out of care or interest, but out of cold, calculated intent. They study your fears, your past wounds, your insecurities, not to heal them, but to weaponize them. It starts small. They notice what makes you uncomfortable, what topics make your voice shake, what memories make your eyes look away. They'll store it all, quietly. They remember the story about your broken trust, the person who betrayed you, the weakness you tried to hide. To them, that's ammunition. You're an open book they're reading slowly, waiting for the perfect page to tear. When the time comes, they'll use your own emotions against you, they'll press the exact buttons that make you break. And when you react, they'll act innocent. I didn't mean it like that, you're too sensitive, I was just joking. But make no mistake, every word, every action was calculated. Evil people understand that the most powerful control isn't physical, it's psychological. They know that if they can predict your emotions, they can own you. So they'll become what you need, a listener when you crave attention, a comfort when you feel lost, a mirror of your emotions when you seek understanding. But behind that mask is cold precision. They're not connecting with you, they're programming you. They're learning how to make you trust, how to make you vulnerable, and eventually, how to make you surrender. By the time you realize it, they've built a full emotional blueprint of you. They know your triggers, your desires, your secrets, and that gives them power. Because once they understand your emotional map, they can lead you anywhere they want. You'll find yourself justifying their actions, forgiving their manipulation, even defending them, without realizing you've been conditioned. It's not affection, it's control disguised as connection. The most chilling part? Evil doesn't rush. It waits. It waits until you're fully comfortable, until you've handed them the keys to your heart, then it strikes. And when it does, it feels personal, surgical, designed just for you, because it was. That's the precision of someone who studied you not to love you, but to destroy you from within. So remember this, not everyone who listens cares. Not everyone who understands you has good intentions. Sometimes, the quiet ones aren't shy, they're studying you. And once they know enough, you're not dealing with a person anymore, you're facing a weapon that knows exactly where to strike. 5. They enjoy creating confusion. There's a strange kind of power that evil people crave, not the power that comes from respect or intelligence, but from control. And the most effective way to control someone isn't through fear or force, it's through confusion. When you're unsure of what's real, when your thoughts start to contradict each other, when you begin to question your own memory, that's when they win. Evil people love that state of chaos. They feed on it. Because when your world starts spinning, they're the only ones standing still. They'll say something cruel to you one day, and when you bring it up later, they'll look at you with that innocent, puzzled face and say, "I never said that." They'll promise something, then act like the conversation never happened. They'll twist your words so subtly that you start wondering if you really said what you think you did. It's a psychological ambush called gaslighting, and it's their favorite weapon. They rewrite reality not just for others, but for you, until you start living in their version of the truth. At first, you'll argue back. You'll try to prove what happened. You'll replay conversations in your head, desperate to make sense of it. But the more you fight for clarity, the more they twist it. They'll change stories, play the victim, or suddenly act emotional so you feel guilty for questioning them. Eventually, you stop confronting them, because every time you do, you walk away doubting yourself. That's exactly what they want. Once your mind becomes foggy, they can lead you anywhere. This is why evil people thrive in relationships filled with drama, chaos, and uncertainty. They want you emotionally exhausted, mentally disoriented, and spiritually drained. When you're too confused to think clearly, you stop resisting. You stop trusting your intuition. You start depending on them for guidance, for truth, because you no longer trust your own perception. That's the ultimate victory for them. They don't need to destroy your confidence directly. They just need to make you question it. And here's what makes it even more chilling: they often do it with a smile. They'll play the role of the calm, reasonable one while you're the one raising your voice, trembling, doubting your sanity. To outsiders, you start to look unstable, emotional, overreactive, while they appear innocent, even victimized. That's the perfect trap. Evil people don't just control your mind, they control the story. But the truth is this: clarity is your power. The moment you see through their confusion tactics, they lose control. Evil can't survive in truth, it needs distortion to live. So, when someone constantly makes you doubt what's real, when every conversation leaves you more uncertain than before, understand this: it's not an accident. It's a design. You're not forgetful, or too emotional. You're being manipulated. Never underestimate how powerful confusion can be in the wrong hands. Because when your reality becomes their playground, your obedience becomes automatic. And that's exactly how evil wins, not by overpowering you, but by making you lose faith in your own mind. 6. They mirror emotions to manipulate. Have you ever met someone who made you feel instantly understood, like they could read your mind? They seem to feel what you felt, think how you think, and even share your pain as if it were their own. It feels comforting, right? Almost magical. But sometimes, that connection isn't real, it's manufactured. Evil people know that the fastest way to gain your trust is to become your reflection. They study your tone, your expressions, your beliefs, and then mirror them back at you. It feels like chemistry, but it's actually calculation. They'll laugh when you laugh, they'll act offended by the same things you're offended by, they'll nod in perfect rhythm as if your soul and theirs are in sync. But they're not feeling with you, they're learning you. They're watching how your emotions move, how your heart reacts, and once they've mapped that, they begin the process of infiltration. Because mirroring isn't empathy, it's manipulation in disguise. They make you feel seen so you'll hand them your trust freely, unaware that you're giving power to someone who intends to use it against you. At first, it's intoxicating. You'll think you finally met someone who gets you. You'll start opening up, telling them your fears, your past, your secrets. You'll feel safe. That's when they know they've got you. Then, slowly, something shifts. They begin to guide your emotions instead of following them. When you're sad, they don't comfort, they deepen it. When you're angry, they fuel it. When you're uncertain, they steer you in directions that serve them. They start replacing your emotional reality with theirs. Before you realize it, your moods, your decisions, even your self-worth become tied to their reactions. You start feeling what they want you to feel. That's not connection, that's control. What makes this so terrifying is how invisible it is. You'll never see the strings, only the illusion of perfect understanding. You'll defend them, believing they're the only one who truly knows you. You'll ignore red flags because they feel different. But that difference is the danger. They've mirrored your emotions so well that you can no longer tell where you end and they begin. It's not a relationship anymore, it's a psychological possession. They've taken residence inside your emotional world, and now they can manipulate it however they please. And when they've taken everything they need, your trust, your vulnerability, your energy, they detach. Suddenly, they're cold, distant, indifferent. The connection you thought was real disappears like smoke, and you're left questioning what was ever true. That's when the realization hits. They never loved your soul, they studied it. You weren't in a bond, you were in an experiment. So if someone mirrors your emotions too perfectly, if their understanding feels instant, flawless, almost supernatural, take a step back. Real empathy is imperfect. It grows slowly, honestly. But imitation is instant, because it's rehearsed. Evil doesn't come to connect, it comes to control. And by the time you realize that their reflection was never real, they've already taken everything they wanted, and left you staring at your own emptiness, wondering how someone could wear your emotions better than you. 7. They have a cold stillness beneath the surface. There's a certain kind of silence that feels wrong, not peaceful, not calm, but cold. You sense it when you're around certain people. Their face might show emotion, their voice might sound warm, but deep down, something doesn't match. There's an emptiness behind their eyes, like they're watching life from a distance, detached, unmoved. You could tell them something tragic, and they'll respond with the right words, the right expressions, maybe even a sympathetic nod, but you can feel it. There's no real heartbeat behind their reaction. It's all calculated. It's all performance. When something chaotic happens, when people panic, cry, or shout, they don't flinch. Their calmness feels unnatural, like they're standing in the middle of a burning building, yet their pulse doesn't rise. That's not emotional control. That's emotional absence. Because true calm comes from peace, but theirs comes from calculation. Evil doesn't panic, it plans. While everyone else is reacting, they're analyzing. They're watching every move, every weakness, every opening. They don't just want to survive the storm, they want to use it. That's what makes them dangerous. Most people reveal themselves when under pressure. Their emotions spill out, fear, guilt, anger, love. But these people? They become quieter. Still. It's in that eerie stillness that their mind sharpens. You can almost feel the chill in the air around them, a suffocating presence that drains the warmth out of the room. You might mistake it for confidence, but it's something darker. It's control without conscience. They don't care about what's right or wrong, only what's useful. They can smile at you while plotting against you. They can comfort you while secretly feeding off your pain. And the scariest part? You often won't realize it until much later, when you look back and realize how every moment, every reaction, every silence was intentional. That cold stillness beneath the surface isn't peace, it's the calm before devastation. The silence before betrayal. The quiet hum of evil waiting to make its move. And when it finally does, you'll remember that eerie calm you once ignored, and you'll wish you had trusted your instincts when your soul whispered, something isn't right. As we conclude, evil doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. It hides behind charm, kindness, and a calm face. But once you know what to look for, once you've seen these habits, you'll never mistake a mask for a face again. Protect your energy. Protect your peace. And remember, not everyone who smiles at you wants the best for you. If this video opened your eyes, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this truth. Because awareness isn't fear, it's power.